Welcome to Best in Fest. I'm Leslie Lepage, the director of the La Femme International Film Festival, and this is a podcast for people who are interested in advancing their career in television and film and learning all the dirty little secrets of Hollywood. My guest today is Crystal Chappell, and I want to thank her so much for coming on because, you know, you're amazing. You're a powerful, amazing woman. She is a 3-time Emmy Award Winning actress. She's won an Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actress as Olivia on CBS's TV Guiding Light, which I used to be addicted to way back when I was younger. Emmy for Outstanding Special Class Short Format for her web series Venice, which we're going to be talking about today. She also founded Open Book Productions, which is a digital media company, and she's got another digital pilot, The Grove. She's going into second season of Beacon Hill, 7th season of Venice, and her Open Book Productions is making their first feature film, A Million Happy Nows. So I want to hear about that too. And she co-founded Real Women's Network, a streaming service dedicated to content creation by women. How about that? Or those identifying as women. I want to welcome Crystal. You're this amazing award-winning actress on a hugely successful, long-time series. And did you always want to be a filmmaker, or did that come from your years of acting? Like, how did you say, I want to start being a hybrid, or I need more passion in my life, or I need more angst?
Always more passion. Can you ever really have enough passion in life?
Never do you have enough passion.
Right. I think I've always been a very curious person and adventurous person. So I think it's just in my nature to kind of see what else is out there. But first of all, thank you for that introduction. I'm going to rewind, use this every morning and play it when I wake up.
You should. You're hot stuff, man. You're just hot stuff.
But yeah, it's I just always enjoyed the magic of the entertainment business, of making movies or television series or whatever. It's I've never taken that for granted. To be able to walk on a set is pretty awesome. So, and I'm amazed at what people do behind the scenes as much as in front of the cameras. So it was always something that I was very interested in.
So even when you were winning your Emmys, you were like, wait a second, what camera are they using? How are they setting this up? That's great.
Yeah. Well, but it is. And you see the effort that goes into making something and making this podcast, everything. It just takes so much effort to get your talent to be able to get onto to the podcast with you. So yeah, it's really, it's a pretty awesome thing to do. And yeah, I'm happy I've had the career I've had. It's been awesome.
That's amazing. So in this career, you decided to then start this web series, right? And you entitle it Venice, and it's about this group of people living in that community. Can you tell me more kind of how this got started in your headspace?
Sure. Well, Guiding Light, I was on there for 10 years from 99 to 2009. And I played this character who was your typical town floozy. She just betted everything that walked by. And I mean, what a job. And
floozies are fun.
Yeah, I loved it. I had the best time. And then once we circled around, I went through all the men in town. I circled around and they started up again. You're revisiting past loves, right? Start back up. And they came up with this really great storyline to have my character, who's very hard and business oriented and money interest, hunger for money, to fall in love with this woman, this very simple, very religious woman. And we were going off the air, so they told the story very gingerly and lovely and simple, and then it ended. The show ended, and the story wasn't finished. So I've always been kind of fascinated with technology and computers. I was a computer science major in college before I studied journalism, and then eventually acted. But so the idea of taking something, a story, and then I knew enough about production to say, let's take it to the web where we don't have to deal with censorship and really tell the story in a very lovely way. So that's how Venice came about. It was really just this desire to continue telling that story that I thought was really important for people.
So you created the story, and now you're into casting, and you've done the production of it. And did you take this to the festival circuit? I mean, what was your next step of sequence to get this thing? Because it's going into 7 years, right? 8 years.
Right.
What did I just say?
Well, it's 7 seasons, but we started it. It launched on December 4th in 2009. So it's been around for a while. I couldn't shoot every year, but we really didn't do the festival circuit. I mean, it wasn't something that I was familiar with, quite frankly, at the time. I had done daytime for so long. It's not really something that I got into, but it was all online. It was all social media, grassroots funding. It was all of that. So yeah, I mean, just over the years, the story on Guiding Light just. The part of the reason I did it was fans were writing me saying, we'll pay for this. We want to see more of this. So I asked my leading lady in that story, would you come and do the show with me? And we were, new characters and all of that. And yeah, the fans just got behind it, and it's just sort of grown over the decade. Internationally, it's been amazing to see who's jumped aboard. People just in the last year who found it. It's really quite remarkable.
Well, with the social media, because social media, when you launched, 8-9 years ago, that was still a developing, frontier, I should say, not as slick as it is now. So How did you go back around that time, and how did you start building it? I know you had your audience base and your fan base. So was there a crowdfunding element? How did you work the social media? How did you get your funds? Yeah.
It really started out social media. I remember the first time I went on Twitter, and all I could say was something like "hi," and then I ran away. It felt like such a. We sold panties. We designed these little.
Sold panties. That's
we sold
awesome.
Panties. We sold panties with we made a little logo. We had a logo contest. It was very interactive with the fans too. That was part of the fun of it. We had a logo contest. So the logo that you see was designed by a fan.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it will always be there. And then we started putting that logo on different things. But we started with panties, boys' briefs, and started selling them in T-shirts eventually. But I mean, we sold a lot of panties.
Funded by panties. Now that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as this started growing, did you keep that interactive model with your fan base?
Very much.
Okay, so how did you control that? How did you utilize that for that first season, moving into the next seasons?
We kept products, different shirts and things like that for people to buy. They wanted more things to buy. We had contests. We worked with some people overseas to develop some kind of software where somebody could buy a subscription for somebody. That wasn't available then. So we had somebody do that for us. And we were going into, the recession. 2010, right? And people's credit, it was a tough thing. They couldn't buy it. So it became much more, in my opinion, much more solidified by the fact that people who've never met other people just went, I'm going to buy 10 subscriptions, and I want you, Open Book Productions, to hand them out to people who need them, who can't. And it just became this thing of, I think, this growth of goodwill that sort of buoyed this show up.
I mean, that's amazing that you were able to have such a strong fan base that, allowed that subscription base. Within that subscription, what did you, I'm sure it's grown to, a current different subscription model, but in the emerging stages of it, what were you offering? I mean, what was your hook into that fandom?
I think it was there. I think it came from Guiding Light.
Mm,
I look at the whole thing as, I was a gymnast for years, and when you vault, you have to do the running, you have to do the prep work and the energy to get
right.
down the runway, but it's that springboard that's gonna, take you over the vault. And I kind of saw, Guiding Light and that story and that momentum that we had as that springboard.
Hmm.
And then it was just about continuing to interact with people and talk to people and get a sense of who they are and what they want as viewers. It was very interactive that way. We've done all
Right.
kinds of things where it's like story points and couples, and I mean, we pretty much wrote what we wanted to, but they were involved in it, and I think that made it really fun for them.
What have you, hit on storyline? Because a lot of the storyline you have used was really groundbreaking, at that time when you were first kind of introducing this concept. And now, where do you see it going forward into, the future season?
Well, I think it's important. I like to go back to my roots. I think Annie and Gina have gotten married, and they went on this little adventure. Um, Sort of, I love sci-fi, and so I played with that in season 6. But um, season 7 for me is really about their honeymoon and starting their life together at home, and having their family around in the beginning stages of their marriage. So, and it's and bringing on younger people. My character has a daughter who's also gay, and they she has had trouble in love. She's in love with this girl who's not loving her back. So, it's we're going to continue to develop that, and bring on more of my soap friends. I call them, people don't like the phrase soapy, but I'm like, I love it. It's fantastic and fun. it's it's great, and they're great actors. So
It's great that they are able to kind of jump into that willingly, because it probably offers more freedom, than you can do on network, right? So are
right.
you going to maybe follow and open it more up to the different acronyms within the LGBT plus community in storyline?
That's the plan. Yes, I actually, in connecting to Real Women, Jessica Hill is writing. She wrote season 6, and she'll be writing season 7, and that's a discussion that we've had. I think that's important, especially now. Yeah.
Well, being a woman that's really survived this whole, network, Me Too movement, etc., you then took a step and formed your own company. And it's not just doing Venice. I mean, you've done other projects. Can we talk about like what that was for you, creating that as a woman?
It's harder. I mean, it's more of a challenge if you want to look at it from a more positive perspective. It's just more of a challenge, and especially being an actress. I think if I were a physicist, maybe they'd respect me a little bit more. But when you're an actress, people are like, oh, It's like,
Well, but
um,
you're not just. I mean, you have a college degree. You're a smart woman. It's not that you're only offering your acting ability. You have more. But yes,
that's
it
how
can be
I feel.
challenging.
But it's really it's the response you get, and sometimes, and so I just decided to just do my own thing and just get it done. And it's one of the assets I have is that I'll get things done. So yeah, I mean, I just went to my friends and to the fans and said, hey, this is something that I think could really be fun and cool, and that you would enjoy. And we got it done, but it wasn't without constantly hearing about how it wasn't going to work. Who cares about the web? That was an interesting one at the time. I was like, okay. Nobody's watching that. Who watches that? Because I tried to sell the idea. I had meetings with different people in Hollywood, and they were just like, nobody wants to do that. So I was like, okay. And you just keep working, right? The challenges are what they are. And I think most women have had to deal with that on some level. I'm being spoken around, right? They're not speaking to you. It's like they're talking around you. And it's just something that you go, okay, all right. And you just take it in. It's a learning moment. They're going to teach you something.
You just had to go do it yourself. I mean, listen, I have the La Femme International Film Festival. We're going into our 17th year. When I launched this thing, I got no one's going to fund you. No one's going to be a sponsor. Why would people want to see women created content? And don't women just do romantic comedies? So yeah, I got all the no's, and I hate no. I hate no more than anything in the world. And I just said, well, I'm going to show you. That's like waving a red flag for me personally. But let's go segue back. So you now got this wonderful open book productions, which, by the way, how did you come up with the name?
I had two partners at the time, and we wanted to be as transparent as possible in what we were doing. And we, like we were very interactive with the fans, all three of us. So it just became we wanted to be an open book. And that's really the story behind it.
That's awesome. So now you've got this partnership with Bella Productions, and you're doing Beacon Hill. So how did that develop, and what is that partnership like, in the creative aspect?
Well, they called and asked me to produce Beacon Hill, and I read the script, and it's one of those moments, Leslie, where you're going, oh damn, this is better than my show. Oh, curses. Oh. Anyway, yeah, and I just love the script. And so yeah, we decided to get together and make it work. And that was season one. And then they came season two. I approached them because they sent me a script that was great, but it was too big to produce for the budget that we had. And so I leave them to create. That's their show. I've had to learn as a producer that it's my job to make their vision come to life. It's not for me to put my mark on it that way. So, Venice and the Grove, that's my expression, right, of art, and this is theirs. So as a producer, it's I just give them suggestions, and I put things together, and hopefully create a nice environment. But and they trust me, and I really do appreciate that. That's a big deal to trust your show with somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the Grove is doing well as well. But now you're segueing into feature films, and you are really looking at shooting this first feature film under your, open book productions this year.
We did shoot it.
Oh, you did? You did actually finish shooting it. Oh, okay, great. Oh, and so tell us about that.
It's called 1 Million Happy Nows. Mm-hmm. It's a woman, Marisa Callan, contacted me and said, I want you to produce this film. I said, I'd never produced a film before, and there's so much paperwork. There's so much that I didn't know. Uh-huh. It's one thing to go, through new media, a signatory process with the unions, right. and then there's this feature film, and I was quite overwhelming, mm-hmm. to be honest with you. I said no a couple of times because I just wasn't sure, but she convinced me, and she wrote it for me and my leading lady from Venice and the Grove. So that's pretty amazing. It's about a woman, my character, who's sort of an aging soap opera actress. I don't know where she got that. And I come down with early onset Alzheimer's, and my partner at the time is my publicist. They have to deal with that together because my character Lainey is forgetting things, and so they move to the country, which is not my character's style. She's big, flamboyant, and then we just see the process of what happens with somebody with this kind of illness. And the whole idea of 1 Million Happy Nows is we can't guarantee a future, right? We can only live for now and make it the best you can, and let's make memories that you may not remember, but your partner will. So it's not you're not going to be slapping your knee laughing, but it's a very lovely film.
I had a mother who died of Alzheimer's, so I understand that whole game, and unfortunately it is a miserable demise, for a human being to live through. So when you were doing this film, as an producer / actress / creative, how difficult was it for you to compartmentalize, that actor sensitivity living through this Alzheimer's character and then being able to segue and go, no, no, we've still got to get our day shot or the production elements that you have to deal with when you're on set?
I think it was particularly hard for the movie as opposed to other projects that I've done because of the topic. I spent a year prior working with the Southern California Alzheimer's Association. So they would let me come to events, they would let me talk to people, observe classes and things like that, go on field trips. And I want to say I'm sorry for your mom and what she went through and what you went through as well, because I did see it over the course of a year, people and what happens. So, I knew that it was a really important movie story character to get right. And so I just, at that point, I knew enough to surround myself with really good people, just people that I trust. And people, I used a lot of the same crew, a lot of the same producers, a director that I worked with before. So I kind of left it to them. I really, for me, I had to do that. I mean, of course, I did payroll. You do find moments where you have to do payroll and stuff like that. But, I can compartmentalize, but I left a lot of it to other people.
Because it was shot pre-COVID, did you have a chance to, and I forgive me, but I didn't double check to see if this is out. Is it out on the streaming platforms at this point?
Yes. I know it's on Amazon, Amazon Prime, and some other, I think you can get it on Fandango and different places like that.
Well, then everyone listening in, you have got to absolutely go on to the SVOD platforms and search for this film and download it or stream it and watch it ASAP. Because I have to believe it's amazing just knowing your talent base, and where you've come from. So I will look for it immediately. And all those listening in should do so too. So now that you've kind of got that under your belt, are you looking forward to, are you going to jump into doing another feature?
Boy, I would love to. I'm going to do a 7th season of Venice next year, I hope. Yeah, I mean, I would love to at some point. I don't have a vehicle. I don't have a project in front of me. I would love to find someone to collaborate with. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm really not a writer. I fancied myself one once. And then I was like, ooh. I'll stick to what I can do. And so I'd love to find somebody to work with a really amazing script and story to tell, because it's really about the story. It's in the times that we're in, and the people need to see stories. I've watched so many series and so many movies during this time with my kid, and it's been healing.
We'll talk. I may have a couple of projects
Cool.
to throw your way. Directing, where you are actually, mantling the whole thing, but not necessarily, acting simultaneously. Have you considered that? Is that something that you are looking at doing and facilitating down the line for you?
I have co-directed Venice, and I rely heavily on my crew. They've taught me so much. I really enjoy it. I enjoy visually bringing things to life like that. So that's definitely a road I'd love to go down. And I love producing. I organize my house, I organize my pantry. It's an outlet. I've got like issues. I need to produce something. You know what I'm saying? So got the most neatest pantry you'll ever see. So yes, I want to do that. And I think eventually I'd love to stay behind the camera. And I love actors. I love watching them work. I mean, I've definitely chosen the right job, the right career, because I do love it all.
Right. Well, I think that's definitely your next step. Ironically enough, though, you said, you learn from your crew. Crews are amazing on production. They don't get enough accolades, I would like to say, because they really are the guys that help manifest this creative vision for, the above the line. For those listening in, the above line is the creative people. The below the line are the technical people that help put the film together. So what was your biggest takeaway from what you learned from the crew?
I think from me, coming from acting part of it, on a you see the different departments and you see what they do and how it all comes together. And I think as an actress for many years, I just didn't really think about it. I guess you just show up and you're learning lines and you're trying to create character. And um, I think as a producer, what I learned from my crew the most is that it's all connected, and to have all of that vision on the table when we have our production meetings, and people are feeding off of each other, and it's my job just to make sure I have the right people there and that are connecting, and it's coming visually to life. I mean, just how much they rely on each other, just in terms of timing and, like you said, making the day, and you know and so I think that's what I've learned. I hire such good people. They're such well-oiled machines that they all come together, and it's fabulous when it happens. It's just like amazing. I love it. I'm like, make me
Yeah.
look good.
Yeah.
Like, woo!
Yeah, people don't. Yeah, because people actually don't quite get when it solidifies. It's like surfing. It's like being one with nature.
Truly.
It's like riding the wave. It feels so great to have it move and solidify as one big unit, one being with all these little working parts.
100%. Yeah, that's what makes it.
That's what makes it, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's the addiction part for us, I think, working in the entertainment industry, because you have those moments where it just flies and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then you have those other moments where you're going, the train wreck is happening and the train is
Trying to
derailing.
put Band-Aids on it.
Right. And rubber bands,
Band-Aids.
bubble gum to kind of piece
Yeah.
it together and force it back in.
Exactly.
True.
I've had those days too.
So, if you were looking for a future script to do, what grabs your attention? I mean, what is one of the first things that really makes you gravitate to that script?
It's like a good book. It's something that speaks to you right away, and I guess that's so personal. But I have two trains of thought. One is having something that represents or expresses our time is important to me and is representative of where we are in our time. And then the other train of thought is pure escapism.
Right.
I tell people I've got the humor of a 12-year-old boy. I really do. I grew up with two brothers. I have two sons. I mean,
Right.
I can be disgusting.
Right.
So, I can go in either direction. So it's nothing specific. Like you've read so many scripts, I'm sure it just has to speak to you.
Yeah, I mean, I gravitate, me personally, to the underdog story. I like the underdog that succeeds story when I'm producing, so I naturally look at that. But I also really look at character development within that, genre. It doesn't matter if it's a sci-fi, family, whatever drama film. But I do look, at character and how that character arc is. That's what I look for specifically. A couple of last questions. Real Women's Network, this streaming service. So, I mean, I'm a big women's advocate. I've been doing, the festival for 17 years. But you came in with this, and where did that come from for you? Like, what was that made you say, listen, we have got to figure out a way of supporting women and having the streaming service?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about women helping women. I really we discussed early on about people talking around you. I think that we really have to focus, and I've been very fortunate. I consider the last 10 years of doing what I love to do, other than acting, to be very, amazing. And I met up with Jessica and Linda Hill, and we had this idea, boy, wouldn't it be great if we could just get women content creators and their art and really try to couple that with what we're doing and then get a lot of eyeballs on their projects and get their name out there and just be a buoy. Let's do this, let's pull this together. And so that's where it came from. It's just really as simple as that. And that's we'll just keep doing that. It's been wonderful to see what's come in and from all over the world and the art, and it's amazing what these women are doing. So it's fantastic. I'm just really enjoying it.
I applaud you for that, because I'm looking at every piece of content that women are making out there on the planet. I am viewing them. So I totally understand, what we're creating and the gamut of what we are creating globally. So I applaud you for putting that together. And I'm going to give you a chance to plug everything before we wrap out. But here's my last question. Okay. So tell me a dirty little secret of Hollywood that you wish somebody had told you and didn't. Yes.
Boy, it's really hard to make a left turn and West Beverly Hills. Nobody told me about that.
Right.
Sunset Boulevard and their potholes. I think you have to be somewhat naive to kind of survive the initial drive through Hollywood. I just think I was so confident that I was going to get to where I wanted to get to, but I really had no idea how things worked. So a dirty little secret, well, I mean, there's the obvious, but it's a man's world. I mean, I really just it's trying to navigate and go to I would go to parties and I would get invited to all these parties, and I'm like, why does everybody want to come to these parties? And I had no idea what they wanted from me.
Right.
Like, that's how naive I was. And then I'm like, why don't you go hang out with him? I'm like, I don't want to hang out with him. You know what I mean? I just didn't have a clue. So, I wouldn't want my daughter. I'd take my kid. They could be 30 years old. I'd still be taking them to auditions and parties in Hollywood.
Exactly.
That's my dirty. That's what I learned.
Caution while networking.
Yes.
Last is, what would you what piece of advice would you give to actresses or filmmakers or just anyone trying to succeed, in Hollywood? What would that be? A piece of wisdom that you have secured along the way?
Yeah, I mean, do it. Don't listen to what other people say to you. I've had people tell me I have fat knees, I can't be an actress. What does that have to do with anything? Just do it. My fat knees are just fine. Just do it. Do it. Find good people, a good support system. Go to acting classes and develop that support system, because I think that's really important.
That is awesome. Now, where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they find all your projects?
I'm on Twitter at Crystal Chappell, and I think it's Instagram the same, Crystal Chappell, and Facebook. But yeah, we have A Million Happy Nows on Amazon, and I think Fandango, you can buy it, different streaming platforms around the world, actually. And Venice, you can go to Vimeo, VeniceTheSeries.com. You can also watch The Grove there, and a little show called 8 Girls on the Stoop, which is just me and my friend getting drunk and cooking. That's what I'm saying. You can do it. Anybody can do this. And thank you so much for this, and congratulations on 17 years with your film festival. I think that is pretty awe-inspiring.
Right? Isn't that crazy? I mean, I've done this every which way. I've done it pregnant. I've done it giving birth. I mean, I've done it every way you could do this thing. all supporting women producers, writers, and directors. Being told that, I could never do it. It can never be done. You just gotta prove them wrong. I think that's just the key to success. Just don't take no for an answer, and prove them wrong, whoever the them may be. So thank you again for coming on. Thanks for all those who are listening in. If you want to submit your film to the La Femme International Film Festival, we are in our call for entries right now. So go to Film Freeway, search on La Femme International Film Festival, or go on to lafemme.org and find us there. The podcast will be posted on our La Femme channel on YouTube, so you can watch the video component of that. And like us on Instagram, Twitter, and find us and write a review on iTunes. So thank you so much, Crystal Chappell, for joining us. You are an amazing philanthropic businesswoman, entrepreneur, writer, producer, director even more in the future. So I appreciate you coming on board. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.